Good afternoon, good morning, good day. Good day. We're going to go with good day. Good day, LA. Hi, welcome back to another episode of The Summer of Me. It happens to be summer, which is just so damn convenient for this podcast branding. And it's blistering hot outside, too hot to handle. And we have tried to stay inside, but my kids are going crazy. Speaking of too hot to handle, I was just talking to Courtney about this. We dove into Perfect Match over the weekend, and I have so many thoughts. There's a Prada necklace that I am desperately trying to find from a girl named Elise, and that's my first thought. My second thought is Harry Jowsey is an absolute beefcake of a man. I don't know if I hate him or if I love him. I think I love him. He is wild and out. If you guys have not watched this show, it is just a bunch of outrageous, overconfident people in barely any clothes being inappropriate with each other. Anyways, I don't usually watch a ton of trash TV. Rob, it was his idea. He was like, let's just lounge on the couch and watch trash, which I was like, sign me up. But the show is beyond entertaining. And it makes me feel like I wear really, really, really wholesome swimsuits. And these people, one of the questions they asked was about their body count. Some of these people's body counts is 50 to 100. I was like, how do you fit that into your schedule? Do you not have a job? Anyways, that is what I spent my weekend doing, was watching that. And I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I certainly haven't recovered, and I've spent way too much of my brain power thinking about these people, researching where they are now, what has happened in their life since. And anyways, that's all for that segment of the day. I am not great at recapping reality TV because most of the time my jaw is on the floor. I am like, how did these people get on the show? How do they behave like this? Some of these people come on there and they're like, I am the sexiest, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, have you even looked in a mirror lately? You are out of control. Okay. Today we're doing Q&A live. So I put up a Q&A box all the time on Instagram. You guys ask questions. I figured I would just pull 6 random questions from this, and we're just going to dive into them. We will eventually have fairly soon. I think it's actually probably set up, AKA really soon. But we will do episodes where we're actually answering questions live. You guys can record them and send them in to us. And so that's going to be fun, but this is just we're tiptoeing in that direction. So this is sort of our Q&A live. I didn't write any, you can't see, but I didn't write any answers to these. So I'm just going to rattle off the tip of my tongue to see what comes out. So the first question, and this is something I get all the time, and I feel like I am certainly not an expert. So this is just my hot take, but this question was tips on surviving Nashville coming this weekend for my 40th. Or basically she was kind of asking what should I do? Where should we go? So here's what I would say. I've only lived in Nashville for a few years. But I think the biggest mistake people make is they start too early. You will be shit-faced and sunburned and exhausted if you start early drinking on Broadway. I think Broadway is an absolute must-see. I think it's actually super fun, for a night out or whatever. If you're going to do Broadway, this is going to be all over the place, so just bear with me. If you're going to do Broadway, my favorite bar on Broadway is Tootsie's. I don't know if this is super popular opinion. I just think it gives the vintage old Nashville vibes, and there's some great musicians that play there. I don't ever dabble in the celebrity bars. I don't think I've actually ever been to Aldine's, which is the really famous bar. The Barstool bar is fun if you like a sports bar. Where else do we go on Broadway? Tootsie's is kind of my main squeeze. Maybe Honky Tonk Central, which is 3 stories. So there's always a spot in there. But honestly, if you're going to go to Broadway, I would just start to bounce around until you find a musician that you like, and then just stick around because it's more fun if you're there and interacting with the band and stuff like that. So that's what I would say for Broadway. If you're going to eat on Broadway, Blanco is our kind of go-to. It's never that crowded. It's good Mexican food. My other favorite bar in Nashville is Losers, just because it's it's just a great bar. And I would not go to Losers till either you go at 2 p.m. on a Sunday, or you wait till 10:30 or 11 at night to go, because in between it's not great, but those 2 times are That's your sweet spot. What else for Nashville? 12 South is like great if you're like wanting to like get like have a daytime activity to like shop around and like maybe grab a drink or like eat lunch or something like that. So either you like day drink on Broadway and then like have a low key night, or you like have a low key like walk around day and then you like drink on Broadway. Like those are kind of like the balanced like things that I personally think that you have to do. If you're bringing kids to Nashville, my favorite thing to do with kids, it's outside of Nashville, but is to go to, it's called Wines in the Fork. It's a winery in Leaper's Fork and it's right on the creek. So you can grab like a bottle of wine. They have lawn chairs, live music, and like the kids can catch crawfish and like just swim in the creek. That's like our hands down favorite activity to do on a weekend or whatever. Leaper's Fork is also really fun. There's a Fox and Lock, I think. It's the only one, you can't miss it, but it's like a really fun barbecue joint, and it's like it's an Americana type bar, and they have you can bring kids in and stuff though, and they have like great food and music, and that's a fun stop down there too. So that's my Nashville tourist ideas for you. That's about as extensive as it gets. I frequent the same like 3 restaurants. Superica is my favorite food in Nashville. I know that's probably not like the best food in Nashville, but it's my favorite. So that's it. There you have it. Number 2, what are your travel must-haves? First of all, I don't actually travel nearly as much as I used to. I would travel almost every like long weekend. I have every other week I have a 5-day stretch without the kids, and I would travel on that long weekend pretty much every single time. Like last year, I was doing a long distance relationship for a very long time. And so I would always go to Austin, or we would like meet up somewhere, or I would travel for work a lot, like all sorts of places. My goal now is to stay in my same zip code for like at least 6 months. I do love to travel, but you get burned out a little bit. So my travel must-haves. Well, I'm trying to eat healthier, but first of all, I will tell you that I was dead set, very consistent. And every time I'd go to the airport, I would get a bottle of sparkling water, Perrier or San Pellegrino. I would get a bag of nacho Doritos, the bigger bag, not the smaller bag, you guys. What are we, peasants? And a bag of peanut M&Ms, and usually like some version of a spearmint gum. And that was like my comfort meal on the flight. I don't do that anymore because I'm trying to like eat healthier, and Doritos are just straight orange chemicals in your body. I do dabble occasionally in the drug, but not often. I would say my essentials. Let's see. I always bring a blanket. It's like an emotional support thing for me. So blanket, I have like a Serenoni blanket. I bought like I think it's called like a lap blanket, or like it's a baby blanket. It's meant for like a baby's car seat, but it's the perfect size to fit in your carry-on. If I'm going longer than like 4 hours, I'll try to bring a neck pillow so that I can sleep. Always my headphones. I have my Bose headphones that I'm obsessed with. I carry everywhere with me. Rob thinks they're gross because he says they get sweaty on the inside, but I don't even care. I don't even care if they were sweaty. I'd put them on. I'd lick them sweaty. I don't even care. I love them. And that is like, even if I'm not listening to music on the plane, you don't realize how loud airplanes are and how much like sound you're intaking, and like it overstimulates me. And so I wear these because it makes it so quiet. It's the best. So noise canceling headphones are like number 1. I am that freak that wears sunglasses in the airport because I hate making eye contact with random people, and it makes me anxious. Wow, I'm really sounding like I need like padded rooms. So I wear a hood, and I wear always like a sweaty, always a hoodie, a sweaty. This is a new name, a sweatshirt with a hood, hoodie is what it's called. So that I can put my hood up. I have my headphones on, my sunglasses on, and I can't hear anything and I can't see anybody. And that's like my move. If I'm flying Delta, I go into the Delta lounge, I get a mimosa. I'm weirdly like, I am not a routine person. I'm not like psycho about anything, except for when I travel, I have like super strict routines. Like if I'm traveling Delta, I have to get a mimosa, usually 2, let's be honest. And I like have my like stops that I go to at certain gates in the airport and whatnot. I always travel with my away carry-on. Do not make me check a bag ever, not one time. That is like standing at baggage claim over my dead body. I'd rather actually go buy like a whole new wardrobe somewhere and ship it back than like check a whole bag. Not for me. I think that's it. Like those are kind of my main travel staples. Obviously my phone. if I can find a good book, great. But like I do find that I have a hard time like getting into a good book on a plane. Usually I scroll through my photos and like I'll take it as an opportunity to like delete a bunch of photos. So I'll search like, let's just say it's July 7th or whatever. I'm just throwing out a random date. I'll search that date in my camera roll and then like delete all the photos from that date. And then I'll go to July 6th and July 4th and like go up. 5th is after the 6th, but you know what I mean. That's like my favorite plane activity. Anyways, those are my travel essentials. Number 3, I'm struggling with caring on what others think and I'm scared to be myself. This is something that comes up often. And when I used to really like, I was super involved in like essential oils and like had mentored a lot of women in business. And this is something that came up all the time because people were like, I'm scared people are going to judge me for sharing something online or selling oils online or being like that MLM girl, or like I'm embarrassed or whatever. First of all, let me just tell you this. It is none of your business what other people think about you. It truly isn't. It's typically a reflection or like a projection of what they feel about themselves or what their own insecurities are. But also like, it's just none of your business. Like if somebody thinks that about you, like, okay, let them think that about you. Again, let them. Like it has no effect on you. Number 1. Number 2, if it has something to do with like, you know, for us, it was like a lot about like making money and whatever. Those people don't pay your bills is what I used to tell people all the time. But I think like the most important thing to remember when you're worried about like what other people think of me is like, okay, people are going to think something of you regardless. Whether you are the prettiest girl in the room or the ugliest girl in the room, people are going to think something about you. Whether you are like the nicest person or the meanest person, like people are going to talk shit. They're going to have feelings. They're going to have emotions. And 99% of the time, it has nothing to do with you and like who you are. And something that I heard at one point that was really like stuck with me was at the end of the day, like, who do you go to bed thinking about? Is it you and yourself and your feelings and like how your day was, or like all the other people that you saw? It's yourself. We all go to bed thinking about ourselves. We are obsessed with ourselves as a human, like out of human nature. And so like typically those people are thinking, they might look at you and they might judge you and they might say something, very rarely, but like people may say something, but like they're not going to bed thinking about that. They're going to bed thinking like, well, how did I show up in this situation? How did this person perceive me? And like, it's an endless cycle of no control. You have no control over what people are thinking about you. You have no control over how people feel about you. You show up genuine and true and who you are. And like, at the end of the day, like that's the best that you can do. And you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So you might as well do. Like you might as well do what you want to do, behave how you want to behave, show up how you want to show up. And what did we say? Fuck the haters, I guess, right? No, don't say that. But I think just like honestly remembering like you are the only version of you. Like you are created special. And her question says, I'm scared to be myself. Like I think if you're scared to be yourself, like who's going to be you? Like you have something to give to the world. You have something to give to your community, to your family, and like showing up like not as that version of you, not the truest like version of yourself is only like the only person that's not benefiting is you. Like all of these other people might think something and it's going to come and it's going to go. And like at the end of the day, again, they're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking like, well, why was Jessica like laying in bed? Like, why was Jessica wearing that? And like, what was she doing? Like, no, they're like, well, why did I wear that? What do people think about me? Like, how was I perceived in this situation? So I think it's really like important to reframe that. Sometimes it's like weirdly, even though it's like comes out of like a lack of confidence, it's like an ego thing of like, people don't care that much about you. And this is like, I mean this in the most loving ways. Like we think like people are so obsessed with us or caring about us. Like they don't really care about you. They care about themselves. We're all fucking egotistical maniacs. Like, so maybe like make it less about yourself and be like, they don't care about me. I'm just going to do me, because like clearly at the end of the day, like they're not thinking about me. So I don't know. I think just like reframing your mind a little bit, it does take practice. Obviously, like we all go out and we step out and like in a breath of insecurity from time to time. But I think the more that you can practice just like doing you, and there's going to be people that respect the hell out of that and find that sexy and find that attractive, that becomes magnetic, I think, when you can actually be yourself. And that is, I think, when you find the most strength in your journey and like the most momentum is when you actually are like, fuck everybody else. Like, I'm just going to be me, because everybody else is going to be them too. nightstands. Where did I get my nightstands? Listen, I went on a little bit of a soapbox on this on Instagram. Nightstands are ungodly expensive. They have no right to be that expensive. I don't understand. They're not a dresser. Like, don't identify as a dresser. You are absolutely not a dresser. You are a nightstand. You sit by a bedside and you are half the size. Why are you the same cost? I don't understand. I ended up getting mine from Amazon. They're the Novogratz line and they are pieces of shit and I don't recommend them. And they took an ungodly amount of time to put together. So I have no solution for you guys because I know that everybody else felt this way too. Nightstands. I think your best bet is like going to a Home Goods maybe, or like an antique store or something like that. The ones I want are $900 and I just simply cannot swallow that pill. So I haven't. So I'm just going to live in hatred for the ones that I have and resent them and spite them until I can maybe I can find a sugar daddy that will buy me $900 nightstands. You guys know though, that didn't go well the first time. So my boyfriend is moving in. Tips on cohabitation. So if you guys have missed it, Rob, my boyfriend, moved in with us and he lives with me and the kids, and it has gone splendid, beautifully, but we have worked tirelessly to make this work. We have worked through this in therapy and coaching and everything else. And I think, tips on making this work is it doesn't just work. It takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of conversation and communication. There is this portion of like that process that is just like, you have to accept that there's going to be growing pains and there's going to be situations. And it actually has gone like so beautifully, and I like won't dive too much into it, but we anticipated a lot of like the conversations and the situations and stuff like that and talked through them prior to him actually moving in. And created a lot of situations in which it was like he was sort of living there or he was there for longer periods of time and things like that. I think the tips on cohabitation is just like communication. I think if you expect to go into that situation, okay, my boyfriend's moving in with me and my kids, like I've lived alone with my kids for so long that like having anybody move in, whether it was like a sister, a friend, a boyfriend, whatever, like there's going to be some like growing pains with that. But just like really, really, really explicitly communicating through everything. I like actually get sick of communicating sometimes, and it's like very uncomfortable sometimes, but like it is the best way I can, like that I can compare like communicating like this to is like taking an ice bath. Like it's so painful and uncomfortable and the anticipation of it sucks and all that. And then you get out or you're done communicating or whatever. And you're like, I feel like a freaking $1,000,000. I don't have a care in the world. I don't have a weight on my shoulder. I did it. We overcame this. And so I really, really encourage, like, if you're doing something like that or just anything in a relationship that you're like trying to come through, just talking about it. Like, it's going to make everybody feel better. There's nothing worse than like holding that in and then you're like resentful or upset or you feel unheard. Well, you should feel unheard because you didn't speak up. Like, they can't read your mind. And so, whether that's the kids, the boyfriend, the friend, like whatever, I think communicating through that situation is really good. And it's been really fun. It has been a blast. I can't say enough good things about it. We have had the best summer so far. So I am over the moon. All right. What to wear on a first date? Just don't go, sis. Don't go. When I was dating, I was like serial dating for a minute. Not really serial dating, but I was like going out a lot. My go-to, me and every other girl in Nashville, was like jeans and a black top. Here's what I would say. I would say there's not like a recipe for like what you should wear on a first date, except for that I feel like you should wear something that makes you like your most confident outfit. Like, do not go on a date and be like, oh, is this like fit right? Is my boobs hanging? Like you are going to exude that energy all over the place. You're just going to spill it all over the place. So if you're going on a first date, I really think that like you need to wear an outfit that you've already worn, that you like loved and you felt sexy and comfortable in, because otherwise you're going to spend your entire time focusing and thinking about your looks and not being present for your date. And yeah, I feel like that's just like, it's just a win-win. You wear a cute outfit, you don't have to go buy something new, and you already know like you're going to love how you look and how you feel. Okay, that's all for Q&A Live. For the next Q&A Live, we're actually going to do it live. So there is going to be a link in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, just go in like the podcast description and you can click the link and it will take you somewhere where you can ask your question and maybe we'll feature it on the podcast. It will be so fun. I feel like we can go high, low, risky, not risky, family, boyfriend, dating, sex, all the things. Like no question is off limits. I might not answer it, but you can ask it. No, I'm going to try to like spread it out between like divorce and family and dating and parenting and like whatever content you guys want. So click the link. We would love it if you would submit your question, and we'll start doing these episodes more regularly because I think it's just a fun little take on a Q&A. Thanks for listening to The Summer of Me. You can listen to episodes on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube. Come hang out and follow my chaos on Instagram @Kendra for now. See you next time.